Skrivase Azantes, welcome video lovers. Welcome to Tac Nerd 1.0. Folks, we've got a bit of a bench chat going on here today. Was out at the range using my lovely Walther P1. Topic came upon me and I wanted to share that with all of you and get a bit of discussion going. What if a person were to use a milsurp firearm, milsurp pistol for their everyday carry? In that, what if they were to use one of these pistols for protection outside of the home? What are the cons? What are the pros to that? And well, I would say generally pretty good. Our first con is going to be the reliability. So if armies around the world have used these type of pistols, you can generally assume they are going to be reliable. They're made for war. They're made to be drug through the muck and the mud and every other weather condition and still work. Are they all like that? Definitely not. But I would say generally the majority, yes, they are. In addition to that, they generally are going to be not necessarily easy to repair, but they are going to be repairable. Because these are weapons used in conflicts around the world, the Army generally wants them to be able to be repaired. That also means that there are most likely going to be a host of parts available to repair these firearms. Now, you may have to, depending on the age, you may have to go looking and you may have to look very hard for those parts, but they generally should be available to you. Now, the last positive notion we have here for these pistols, this is a bit of a toss-up. I'm going to say accuracy, but understand these are weapons of war. And most of these being older, they're not made for precision accuracy like weapons are today. They'll get the job done, but they're not necessarily going to have the accuracy that modern weapons have. Now, that's not to say that a lot of modern weapons are all that accurate either. There's a lot of cheaply made guns that fall into the same category. But these will get the job done. This last part I want to leave in is just the historical nature of owning and using one of these firearms. Now, would many defensive experts tell you that this is a great idea? Maybe not. And I think a lot of them may think you're something of a hipster.
A hipster doofus.
If you pull out a 40 to 50-year-old firearm to use for defensive purposes. But remember that 1911s exist. They are a thing, and plenty of people use them, as well as various other kinds. All right, folks, let's take a little look at some range footage, and then I want to come back and we're going to discuss some of the cons for why you would not want to carry a pistol such as this. All right, folks, we've increased our distance to about 14 yards. Let's take a few shots and see how we do. All right, folks, 21 yards. We increased our distance to. This is definitely not self-defense distance. I really don't know if I'm going to be able to hit at this distance with sort of modern sights, but sort of not. We'll try it. We'll see. I did bring the rest back out to give me a hand with this. I would say at this distance, the front sight covers up about half of the target. There we go. Shooting low. All right, folks, we're back. Hope you enjoyed that range footage. And I think you will see from that footage, for your general defensive purposes, the 7 yards that the FBI says most of these things happen at, I think you're going to be fine. However, there are cons to carrying an older firearm such as this. Let's talk about a few of them. First off, and I think maybe most important, is because these items are military surplus, and they're generally military surplus from World War II and back or so, most of those weapons were not designed to use hollow point ammunition. They're not designed for defensive type ammunition. They generally work better with ball ammo. Now, the current crop of 1911s that are out there, the newly produced ones, those are kind of a different story. Those have been made so that they're able to fire defensive ammo. I'm not saying that these won't, and I'm not saying that I haven't. I'm just saying that when you do, you probably are going to run a risk of those jamming. There is also a possibility that if you're using the wrong type of ammunition, because some defensive ammunition is plus P or even plus P plus, that may be seriously damaging the firearm. So again, ammunition is important. If you are going to use one of these, if you would decide to use something like this for defensive purposes, definitely test out the ammo that you're going to use, and I would test a lot of it to make sure you're not going to have any issues with it, and to make sure you can hit what you're aiming at with it. Okay, second off, and I think this is probably the biggest one, is the weight. It's a big deal. Now, I know there's going to be a ton of people out there that are big, tough guys and say, I don't have any problem carrying a full-size metallic pistol. Hey, if that's you, go for it. But there are plenty of others who just don't want the bother. Certainly not when you have plastic fantastics out there that can do the job. The weight of this Walther P1, and understand that this is a P1, the P38 is even heavier. This Walther P1 has an alloy frame, making it a bit lighter, and even this is at 2 pounds plus. That's unloaded. Given the proper holster and given the proper belt, yes, pretty much you can carry any firearm with you given the proper holster and proper belt. But again, you're probably going to have issues concealing something like this. Can it happen? Yes. With the right garments, yes, you can do it. But is it going to be much easier to carry like a Glock 43 or a Glock 42, something like that? All right, folks, the last disadvantage I want to talk about is magazine capacity. And again, this is a big one too. Most of these firearms are single stack magazines, meaning that you're probably going to be limited to 8, maybe 9 rounds. And that's about it. Now, Browning high power, those you can get up there, but most of these are going to have a fairly low round count. Again, compared with today's carry options, so pretty much anything you can find nowadays is going to outclass these old girls in magazine capacity. And that is a big issue. That's about it, folks. Listen, I think this was a fun topic. If you have anything to add, if you have any ideas, please, let's start a discussion down below. Let's talk about the possibilities of carrying one of these weapons for self-defense. Have you done it? Would you do it? Would you like to try it and tell us how things went? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Remember, as you're going out the door, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to fire off around at that bell notification so you can be notified bright early 9 a.m. every morning when our videos drop. Folks, thank you for joining me. I am Tack Nerd, and I am out of here.